Hello everyone. Today we will talk about strategy formulation, situation analysis and business strategy. Strategy formulation, also known as strategic planning, involves developing a corporation's mission, objectives, strategies, and policies. It begins with a situation analysis to align external opportunities with internal strengths while mitigating threats and weaknesses. A key tool in this process is SWOT analysis, which identifies a company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This technique helps in recognizing a firm's distinctive competencies and potential opportunities that are currently unattainable due to resource limitations. Research shows that a significant majority of executives, 82%, prioritize evaluating organizational strengths and weaknesses and identifying environmental trends in strategy formulation. SWOT analysis is widely used, ranking just behind competitor analysis among strategic tools. The essence of strategy can be described as the relationship between opportunity and capacity. An opportunity holds little value without the resources to capitalize on it. The formula SA equal O/S W captures this relationship, highlighting a critical decision for managers: whether to enhance existing strengths or improve weaknesses to ensure competitive viability. Criticisms of SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, while a popular strategic tool, has several criticisms. Lengthy lists. It often produces extensive lists that can overwhelm decision makers. Lack of prioritization. It does not assign weights to factors, making it difficult to determine priorities. Ambiguity. The use of vague language can lead to misinterpretation of factors. Overlap of categories. A single factor can be categorized as both a strength and a weakness, creating confusion. Subjective opinions. There is no requirement to back opinions with data or thorough analysis. Single-level analysis. It typically only considers one level of analysis, which may overlook deeper insights. No link to implementation. It fails to provide a clear connection to how strategies will be executed. These limitations suggest that while SWOT analysis can be useful, it should be complemented with other analytical methods for more robust strategic planning. Generating a Strategic Factors Analysis Summary SFAS Matrix. The SFAS Matrix, along with EFAS External Factors Analysis Summary and IFAS Internal Factors Analysis Summary tables, addresses the limitations of SWOT analysis by providing a more focused analytical framework. Here's a brief overview of the SFAS Matrix. Purpose. The SFAS matrix consolidates an organization's strategic factors by integrating external factors from the EFAS table with internal factors from the IFAS table. Condensation of factors. While the EFAS and IFAS may list numerous factors like 20 for Maytag Corporation in 1995, the SFAS matrix requires decision makers to distill these into fewer than 10 strategic factors. This streamlining enhances clarity and focus for strategic formulation. Weighting and prioritization. Each factor in the SFAS matrix is assigned a revised weight that reflects its importance in determining the company's future success. This prioritization helps in identifying which factors should be emphasized in strategy development. Enhanced clarity. By summarizing key strategic factors, the SFAS matrix provides a clearer framework for decision-making, encouraging strategic alignment and actionable insights. The SFAS matrix serves as a valuable tool for strategic analysis allowing organizations to effectively prioritize and address their critical internal and external factors. To create a Strategic Factors Analysis Summary SFAS matrix, follow these steps. List strategic factors. In column 1, identify the most important external SFAS and internal SFAS factors. Label each factor as a strength S, weakness W, opportunity O, or threat T. Assign weights. In column 2, assign weights to each factor, ensuring the total equals 1.00. Adjust weights from the SFAS and SFAS as necessary. Rate management response. In column 3, rate how well management responds to each factor. This rating may align with those in the SFAS and SFAS tables but can vary. Calculate weighted scores. In column 4, multiply the weight column 2 by the rating column 3 for each factor to obtain the weighted score. Indicate duration. In column 5, note the duration for each factor. Short term less than 1 year, intermediate term 1 to 3 years, or long term 3 years and beyond. Add comments. In column 6, repeat or revise comments for each strategic factor from the SFAS and SFAS tables. The completed SFAS matrix provides a concise overview of the firm's key strategic factors, facilitating better strategy formulation. It addresses SWOT analysis criticisms by condensing factors, assigning weights, and allowing for dual categorization of factors like a strength that is also a weakness. This method enhances clarity and focus for strategic decision-making. Finding a propitious niche. Identifying a niche is a key outcome of analyzing strategic factors, focusing on market needs that are currently unsatisfied. A propitious niche is one that aligns closely with a firm's core competencies and presents minimal competition, making it advantageous for the firm. Here are the key points. Definition of niche. A niche represents a specific market need that is not being adequately addressed. A propitious niche is particularly favorable, allowing a firm to satisfy demand without significant competition. Strategic sweet spot. This niche can be seen as a strategic sweet spot, where a company meets customer needs in ways that competitors cannot, given the market context. Identifying strategic windows. Management must continuously look for strategic windows, temporary opportunities that allow a firm to occupy a niche before competitors can enter. Successful examples. Frank J. Zamboni and Company invented the ice resurfacing machine in 1949, creating a niche with no substitutes, making competition impractical. Church & Dwight, first to market sodium bicarbonate for cooking with its Arm & Hammer brand, achieving widespread household presence. Growth potential. Once a firm secures a niche, it can expand its operations or form alliances to grow within that space. Early movers in niches can dominate the market and maintain significant market share. Changing niches. Niches can evolve rapidly, requiring firms to invest in their capabilities to remain competitive. For instance, South African breweries SAB invested in productivity and infrastructure to maintain low prices and fend off competition. Finding and exploiting a propitious niche is crucial for strategic success, especially in dynamic markets like software, where small companies can capitalize on emerging opportunities that larger firms overlook. Re-examining mission and objectives for strategy formulation. Before generating and evaluating alternative strategies, organizations must reassess their current mission and objectives. Decision makers often find it easier to focus on immediate action options rather than envisioning long-term goals. This tendency can lead to strategies that dictate objectives, rather than aligning choices with a clear mission, resulting in potential confusion about the company's direction. An inappropriate mission statement, whether too narrow or broad, can create ambiguity, leading to conflicting objectives and strategies. When divisions within a company compete against each other instead of focusing on external competition, overall corporate performance may suffer. Additionally, objectives can be poorly defined, either overly focused on short-term goals or too vague to provide meaningful guidance. Continuous review of objectives is crucial to ensure their relevance. For example, Boeing shifted its primary focus from being the largest in the industry to prioritizing profitability. This strategic change influenced its policies, such as halting price competition with Airbus and adjusting manufacturing capacity. Ultimately, a clear mission and well-defined objectives are essential for effective strategy formulation, ensuring alignment with the organization's long-term vision and market conditions. Business strategies. Business strategy is essential for enhancing a company's or business unit's competitive position within a specific industry or market segment. Research indicates that the effects of business unit strategies have twice the impact on overall company performance compared to corporate or industry factors. This makes effective business strategy crucial for success. Business strategy can be either competitive, focusing on gaining an advantage over all rivals, or cooperative, involving collaboration with other companies to strengthen market position against competitors. While corporate strategy addresses the industries in which a company should operate, business strategy specifically considers how to compete or cooperate within those industries. This dual focus allows organizations to navigate their competitive landscape effectively. Porter's competitive strategies. Competitive strategy involves critical decisions about how a company will position itself in the market. Key questions include whether to compete primarily on lower costs or to differentiate products and services based on quality or service. Additionally, companies must decide whether to target the largest share of the market or to focus on a niche that, while potentially less sought after, can still be profitable. Michael Porter identifies two generic competitive strategies for outperforming rivals: lower cost and differentiation. These strategies are termed generic because they can be applied by any type or size of organization, including non-profits. Lower cost strategy. This strategy involves a company's ability to design, produce, and market a product more efficiently than competitors, allowing it to offer lower prices. Differentiation strategy. This approach focuses on providing unique value to buyers through superior product quality, special features, or exceptional after-sales service. Porter asserts that a firm's competitive advantage is influenced by its competitive scope, which refers to the range of its target market. Before adopting either of the two generic strategies, a firm must define its product varieties, distribution channels, customer types, geographic focus, and related industries. This process should align with the firm's unique resources and capabilities. Ultimately, a company can choose to target a broad market or narrow niche, depending on its strategic goals. Combining competitive strategies and target markets. Combining the two types of target markets with Porter's competitive strategies results in 4 variations of generic strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, cost focus, and differentiation focus. When both lower cost and differentiation strategies target a broad mass market, they are referred to simply as cost leadership and differentiation. In contrast, when these strategies focus on a niche market, they are termed cost focus and differentiation focus. Research indicates that established firms using broad scope strategies generally outperform those with narrow scope strategies in terms of return on assets ROA. However, new entrepreneurial firms often find greater survival prospects by adopting a narrow scope strategy. Cost leadership. This strategy aims at the broad mass market by maintaining lower costs. It requires efficient operation, tight cost control, and avoidance of marginal customers. Companies like Walmart, MC Donald's, and Southwest Airlines exemplify this strategy. By keeping costs low, firms can offer competitive prices, which not only helps in maintaining profitability, but also provides a defense against competitors. A strong cost position enables these companies to earn above-average returns and creates barriers to entry for potential new entrants. Differentiation. This strategy also targets the broad mass market, but focuses on creating unique products or services perceived as superior in the industry. Companies employing differentiation can charge premium prices due to brand loyalty, which reduces price sensitivity among customers. This strategy is effective for generating above-average returns, as increased costs can often be passed on to consumers. Notable examples include Apple, BMW, and Nike. Differentiation also acts as a barrier to entry, as new competitors must develop their own unique offerings to compete. Research suggests that while differentiation strategies may yield higher profits, low-cost strategies are more likely to increase market share. Cost focus and differentiation focus strategies. Cost focus is a competitive strategy aimed at a specific buyer group or geographic market, allowing a company to serve a niche while excluding others. This approach seeks to establish a cost advantage within its target segment. An example of this strategy is Potluck Corporation, which manufactures toilet tissue. Rather than competing with major grocery chains like Albertsons and Safeway, Potluck matches the quality of well-known brands while keeping costs low by eliminating advertising and promotion expenses. As a result, the company dominates the private label bathroom tissue market, accounting for 92% of sales in this category in Western U.S. grocery stores. Differentiation focus, like cost focus, also targets a specific buyer group, product line segment, or geographic market. Companies employing this strategy aim to provide unique value tailored to the needs of their targeted segment. Examples include Midamar Corporation, which distributes halal foods, Morgan Motor Car Company, known for classic British sports cars, Nickelodeon, a children's cable channel, and Orphogenics, a pharmaceutical firm. Orphogenics exemplifies differentiation focus by developing orphan drugs for rare diseases that affect fewer than 200,000 people, thereby avoiding direct competition with larger pharmaceutical companies like AstraZeneca and Merck. By concentrating on specialized needs, these companies can effectively serve their niche markets better than broader competitors. Risks in competitive strategies. No competitive strategy guarantees success, and companies that effectively implement one of Porter's strategies may still struggle to sustain it over time. Each generic strategy comes with inherent risks that must be managed to maintain competitive advantage. For example, a company pursuing a differentiation strategy must carefully consider its pricing. If the premium price for higher quality is too much above competitors, customers may not perceive the additional value as worth the extra cost. This concept is referred to as cost proximity. A notable case is Deere & Company, which was a leader in the farm machinery industry. However, it faced increasing competition from low-cost manufacturers in India and other developing countries that offered cheaper products. In response, Deere invested in high-tech, flexible manufacturing plants that utilized mass customization to lower production costs, while also focusing on innovation to create differentiated products. Although these products were priced higher, they provided customers with savings in labor and fuel expenses, allowing Deere to maintain its competitive edge despite the pressure from low-cost competitors. Thus, while competitive strategies can be powerful tools for success, they require constant evaluation and adaptation to mitigate risks and respond to market dynamics. Issues in competitive strategies. Michael Porter emphasizes that for a company or business unit to succeed, it must effectively adopt one of the generic competitive strategies, either cost leadership or differentiation. Companies that fail to do so risk becoming stuck in the middle, lacking a clear competitive advantage and often resulting in below-average performance. A classic example of this is Kmart, which attempted to emulate both Walmart's low-cost strategy and Target's differentiation strategy, ultimately leading to its bankruptcy due to a lack of a distinct competitive position. While some studies support Porter's assertion that successful companies typically commit to one strategy, other research indicates that a combination of both low cost and differentiation can also yield success. For instance, Toyota and Honda are frequently cited as examples of firms that manage to excel in both strategies. Advances in technology can facilitate the integration of quality into products, allowing companies to achieve high quality while also maintaining a significant market share, which can lower costs. Porter acknowledges that while it is possible for a company to achieve both low cost and differentiation, such a dual position is often temporary. He also notes that while there is typically room for only one company to dominate the mass market cost leadership strategy, there are numerous opportunities for differentiation and focus strategies, depending on market niches and desirable features. Quality itself has multiple dimensions, each offering potential avenues for competitive advantage. Most entrepreneurial ventures tend to adopt focus strategies, successfully differentiating their products based on quality and service tailored to meet specific customer needs within a market segment. These companies often employ guerrilla tactics, targeting niche opportunities that are too small for larger competitors to retaliate against, thereby securing a dominant share within those segments. Industry structure and competitive strategy. While Porter's generic competitive strategies can be applied across various industries, their effectiveness often varies depending on the industry structure. In fragmented industries, characterized by many small to medium-sized companies competing for modest market shares, focus strategies are typically more prevalent. These industries often contain products in the early stages of their life cycles, where low entry barriers allow numerous new entrants. Examples include local restaurants, veterinary services, used car dealerships, ethnic grocery stores, and funeral homes. Despite the presence of established chains like P.F. Chang's, local family-owned restaurants still dominate the Asian casual dining market. If a company can successfully navigate the challenges of a fragmented market, it may benefit from a broadly targeted cost leadership or differentiation strategy. For instance, Pizza Hut differentiated itself from local competitors through effective advertising, while Domino's adopted a cost leader strategy to capture national market share in the pizza industry. As industries mature, fragmentation often gives way to consolidation, resulting in a market dominated by a few large firms. Companies increase their market share through competitive battles and innovative strategies that transcend local or niche boundaries. Once product standards are established, competition shifts focus to cost and service, with firms emphasizing cost leadership or differentiation based on market demands. Research and development efforts transition from product enhancements to process improvements, leading to better quality and reduced costs. The concept of strategic roll-ups emerged in the mid-1990s as a method for rapidly consolidating fragmented industries. Entrepreneurs, often backed by venture capital, acquire numerous small owner-operated businesses, creating a large firm that can achieve economies of scale, develop regional or national brands, and implement best practices. Roll-ups differ from traditional mergers and acquisitions in three key ways. They involve acquiring a large number of firms. The businesses are typically owner-operated, and the goal is to reinvent the industry rather than merely gain incremental advantages. Examples of successful roll-ups include Service Corporation International in the funeral industry and VCA Antec Inc. in veterinary care, which has acquired hundreds of pet hospitals. Once an industry consolidates, companies often blend cost leadership and differentiation strategies, although one may be emphasized more than the other. In mature markets, gaining and retaining high market share cannot rely solely on low prices. Buyers become more discerning and expect a minimum quality level relative to the price. For instance, Staples introduced a premium line of office supplies to address declining sales, while McDonald's expanded its menu to include healthier options and improve customer experience with amenities like Wi-Fi. As industries consolidate, firms must continually adapt their strategies to meet evolving customer expectations, whether through maintaining high quality, adjusting prices, or enhancing overall value propositions. This dynamic illustrates the necessity for companies to remain agile in response to market changes and consumer sophistication. Hypercompetition and competitive advantage sustainability. In hypercompetition, Devaney argues that sustaining a competitive advantage has become increasingly difficult due to factors like short product life cycles, rapid technological changes, and frequent market entries by new competitors. Companies must continuously enhance their competitive edge, as being the lowest cost provider isn't enough. Rivals are also working to lower costs. For instance, Maytag initially thrived by being the most reliable appliance brand but struggled when competitors improved quality, making its high prices harder to justify. To adapt, Maytag had to innovate and reduce costs. Devaney notes that industries in hypercompetition evolve through stages, starting with cost and quality competition, moving into new markets, and eventually establishing high entry barriers. Established firms like Whirlpool and Electrolux expanded globally, while new entrants like LG and Haier emerged. Ultimately, as competition intensifies, firms may reach a state of perfect competition where no single company has a sustainable advantage, leading to minimal profits. In hyper-competitive industries, successful strategies typically have short lifespans, requiring companies to engage in continuous innovation. Devaney compares hyper-competition to navigating turbulent ocean waves, where firms must frequently adjust their strategies. However, a focus on short-term tactics can distract from long-term objectives. Research supports the idea that sustained competitive advantage now hinges on sequencing multiple advantages rather than maintaining a single one over time. Cooperative strategies. Companies can pursue cooperative strategies in addition to competitive tactics to gain advantages within their industries. These strategies allow firms to work collaboratively rather than just competing against one another. The two main types of cooperative strategies are collusion and strategic alliances. Collusion involves the active cooperation of firms to manipulate market conditions, typically by reducing output to raise prices and circumvent the laws of supply and demand. Collusion can be explicit, where firms coordinate directly through communication, or tacit, where they cooperate without direct communication using informal signals. Explicit collusion is illegal in most countries, including within regional trade associations like the European Union. A well-known example is Archer Daniels Midland ADM, which was fined for conspiring to limit the supply and increase the price of lysine by forming a trade association with competitors. Similarly, Quest Communications made agreements with competitors to limit opposition to its mergers, illustrating explicit collusion. On the other hand, tacit collusion can be successful under certain conditions, such as having a small number of identifiable competitors, similar cost structures, and a market culture that accepts cooperation. For instance, General Electric GE engaged in tacit collusion in the steam turbine industry by publicly committing to stable pricing, which influenced its competitor, Westinghouse. This led to stable prices and profit margins for a decade, but ultimately, both firms faced legal action from the U.S. Department of Justice for their coordinated efforts to reduce competition, demonstrating that even tacit collusion can cross legal boundaries. Strategic alliances. A strategic alliance is a long-term cooperative arrangement between two or more independent firms that collaborate for mutual economic gain. These alliances have become increasingly common in modern business, particularly in industries like software, where the percentage of publicly traded companies engaging in alliances surged from 32% in 1990 to 95% by 2001. During this period, the average number of alliances per firm increased from 4 to over 30, with the top 500 global companies averaging 60 major alliances each. Strategic alliances can vary in duration. Some are short-term, aimed at helping a partner enter a new market, while others may evolve into long-term relationships or even full mergers. However, around half of all alliances, including international ones, tend to perform unsatisfactorily, often due to conflicts over objectives and control. Despite these challenges, many alliances enhance profitability and positively impact firm value. Research indicates that companies involved in strategic alliances experience 11% higher revenue and a 20% higher growth rate compared to those that do not engage in alliances. Successfully forming and managing strategic alliances is a skill that firms develop over time. Studies show that a firm's experience with alliances increases the likelihood of success. However, excessive partnering with the same entities can lead to diminishing returns and decreased performance. Consequently, leading firms are investing in building their capabilities to create and manage effective partnerships, recognizing the strategic importance of these alliances in achieving competitive advantage. Reasons for forming strategic alliances. Companies or business units may pursue strategic alliances for several key reasons. to obtain or learn new capabilities. Strategic alliances can help firms acquire new skills or technologies. For instance, General Motors and Chrysler collaborated in 2004 to develop fuel-saving hybrid engines. Alliances are particularly valuable when the desired knowledge involves tacit skills or emerging technologies. Research indicates that companies with strategic alliances tend to utilize more advanced manufacturing technologies compared to those without such partnerships. To access specific markets, companies often form alliances to enter new markets without the substantial investment required for acquisitions or building new facilities. Anheuser-Busch, for example, licensed the rights to brew and market Budweiser to local brewers in countries like Canada and Mexico. Similarly, U.S. defense contractors are often required to partner with local firms to fulfill contracts with foreign governments, thereby creating value chain alliances that facilitate market entry. A survey revealed that 59% of executives cited fast and cost-effective market expansion as a primary reason for forming alliances. To reduce financial risk, alliances generally require fewer financial resources than acquisitions and offer easier exit strategies if circumstances change. For example, in response to the rising costs of developing large jet aircraft, several companies, including Aerospatiale and British Aerospace, formed Airbus Industry as a consortium to share the financial burden of design and production. This collaborative approach allows firms to outsource expensive activities while mitigating financial risks. To mitigate political risk, partnering with local firms can help companies navigate the complexities of entering international markets, especially in politically sensitive regions. Maytag Corporation, for instance, established a joint venture with the Chinese appliance manufacturer RSD to access the Chinese market while fostering a positive relationship with the government, which often imposes restrictions on foreign businesses. Types of alliances. Alliances between companies can take various forms, ranging from mutual service consortia to joint ventures, licensing arrangements, and value chain partnerships. Mutual service consortia are characterized as partnerships among similar companies within the same industry that pool their resources to achieve objectives that would be too costly to tackle independently, such as gaining access to advanced technology. A notable example is the research alliance formed by IBM, Sony Electronics, and Toshiba to develop the next generation of computer chips. This collaboration resulted in the creation of the Cell chip, a high-performance microprocessor capable of running at 256 gigaflops, significantly outperforming existing desktop chips. This supercomputer on a chip was utilized in products like Sony's PlayStation 3, Toshiba's high-definition televisions, and IBM's supercomputers. Mutual service consortia are considered relatively weak and distant alliances, making them suitable for partners who want to collaborate without sharing their core competencies. These arrangements typically involve minimal interaction and communication among the partners, allowing them to benefit from pooled resources while maintaining their independence. A joint venture is a cooperative arrangement between two or more organizations that creates an independent business entity, distributing ownership, operational responsibilities, and financial risks among the partners while allowing them to maintain their autonomy. This form of alliance is particularly useful for leveraging the strengths of each partner, such as combining one company's technology with another's distribution channels. Joint ventures are the most common type of strategic alliance, often formed when companies prefer not to or cannot legally merge permanently. For example, Procter & Gamble and Clorox collaborated to produce food storage wraps, pooling their respective technologies and resources. These partnerships are especially favored in international markets due to financial and political constraints, helping firms collaborate without sacrificing independence. However, joint ventures also come with challenges, including potential loss of control, reduced profits, conflicts among partners, and the risk of transferring technological advantages. Often viewed as temporary solutions, joint ventures can have high failure rates, particularly if companies aim to address competitive weaknesses. Research shows that joint ventures are more successful when partners have equal ownership stakes and depend on each other for achieving results. Licensing arrangements involve an agreement where a licensing firm grants another firm in a different country the rights to produce or sell a product. In exchange, the licensee compensates the licensing firm for technical expertise. This strategy is particularly advantageous for well-known trademarks when a multinational corporation (MNC) lacks the funds to enter a new market directly. For instance, Yum! Brands effectively used licensing and franchising to expand its restaurant brands globally. However, a risk exists that the licensee may develop its own competitive capabilities, so firms should avoid licensing their core competencies. Value chain partnerships represent strong alliances where a company collaborates closely with a key supplier or distributor for mutual benefit. For example, Procter & Gamble partnered with coffee appliance manufacturers to create a new coffee-making system, addressing a decline in at-home coffee consumption. In industries like automotive, companies are increasingly working closely with fewer suppliers, involving them in product design to enhance quality. Research indicates that suppliers in long-term partnerships tend to be more profitable than those with short-term contracts. Both types of strategic alliances come with uncertainties and challenges, particularly regarding potential competition between partners. Effective collaboration often requires partners to share strategic knowledge without compromising their core competencies, especially in technology-driven alliances. Therefore, companies should consider key success factors when forming or joining strategic alliances.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to channel.